Hey everyone, I just wanted to share this amazing insight that I had yesterday. It was quite fantastic how it all came to me. But I had been listening to meditation teacher that his podcast, Lou Redmonds podcast titled "The Art and Business of Meditation," and he had this interview with Sussman, a meditation teacher, and it was. I listened to it a few times. It was phenomenal, so I highly recommend checking that out. But during that interview, Anne was mentioned that she was at a conference where Iyanla Vanzant was speaking. And she was speaking about forgiveness. And Anne mentioned she was filled with anger and rage. She had a complicated relationship with her father. And she asked the question to Iyanla, don't I need to hold people accountable? And Iyanla responded, you don't need to hold them accountable. They are accountable. The holding is just hurting you. And I love that quote. And I've heard similar things about forgiveness over the years that resemble that. But what really stood out for me was they are accountable. And when I woke up yesterday and I started thinking about they are accountable and what that really meant for me. And I relayed that experience and as I pondered that quote back to a class that I had in July, my energy healing teachers and field dynamics healing. Every year they hold continuing education classes during the summer, and I've taken all of them. And in July, we had this class called Biodynamics and the Breath of Life. And this specific one was regarding, what was it called? Embryology and physiology. So we had started to learn about germ layers. There are 3 germ layers in our bodies that form during embryology. It's a little confusing. I still don't quite understand the entire thing, but they're called the endoderm, which is the inner layer, the ectoderm, the outer layer, and the mesoderm, the middle layer. So the first sit that we did was on the endoderm. And that pertains to the gut area and the organs around there. And what happened to me was the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me while I've done almost 3 years that I've been doing energy healing. I had this cyclone effect happening in my gut area, around my gut and my energy field. It was going back and forth around my gut. I didn't see the cyclone, but I could feel it. It was extremely powerful. But my gut served as sort of a table, and there was debris on the table. I couldn't tell what the debris was, but I saw it, and it was just sucking out all this debris, going back and forth for about 15 minutes. And mind you, it was very comfortable. It was not unpleasant. It was a very relaxing energy sit. And then the cyclone moved to my upper right part of my head, and it just stayed stationary, spinning there for a few minutes. And then after that had subsided, I got this really powerful electric shock in my left arm, and it jerked my arm forward. And then I could feel the electricity all the way up to my ears, left ear. It felt like there was this storm happening in my energy field, just completely fascinating. And as with energy healing, you can feel the effects up to 2 days. 2 to 3 days, and 2 days later, on that following Saturday, I started having these random thoughts that just continued in a loop in my head. Forgive everyone, everything. And then I noticed by accident that while I was watching news that I was starting to meet different life experiences with neutrality, without holding any judgments on things. And that felt amazing, that's something to strive for, right? So thinking of that class brought me back. I started pondering that quote from Iyanla again about they are accountable. Because I believe that the universe does hold people accountable for their actions, and not in a wrathful Christian sort of way, but in a more, cause and effect way. that, and I do believe that people do know when they're causing someone harm. And of course, there's a lot involved with that, boundaries, not speaking up, stuff that I can relate to. But I also heard recently there's something that really stuck with me, that people die the way they live their lives. That really resonated with me. So I think kind of that's how the universe holds us accountable in a way, especially if you're not looking for contrition or seeking forgiveness for some of the things that we do to people. Like, we don't want to wish people harm, some do, but because that the holding on just hurts us, right? So it just really helped me figure out about this thing about forgiveness. And I can attest to my experience with the energy healing and working on my endoderm and having that thought, forgive everyone, everything. And going back to they are accountable. And it just really cemented for me how powerful energy healing is and the experiences that can happen and how quick it is. Energy healing just completely accelerates the healing within our energy field and the things in our body. Because you're not going to hear stuff like this from doctors or even therapists. You're not going to, it's the stuffing the emotions down, especially from our childhood, because that's what I believe Anne was trying to get across. It was the stuff that she was holding on with her dad. And I can relate to that because I was holding on to stuff with my dad. And it took me over 40 years to finally that I was able to track it within my gut that I shared about in my first blog piece, and going back to my inner child and holding on to that, all that anger and resentment from a 14-year-old boy. And so having that experience in my endoderm, it just proved to me that these emotions that we stuff down, they come into our energy field. The anger and resentment, they come down through our central chakra, the sushumna nadis, into our nadis, our meridians, our fascia, our tissues, and even our germ layers, because the germ layers form during embryosis. It's just completely fascinating to me, and it just proves how energy healing accelerates healing in our bodies. And what I realized from that quote is that also forgiveness lives within our body, because I believe our body does remember everything. And what that quote brought to me about forgiveness is that forgiveness also lives within the body, because it's not until we're able to go down deep into our lives, into our bodies, find out where those repressed, pushed down emotions, mainly from our childhood, where they lay and live within our body. And it's not until we are able to release those emotions are we able to find true forgiveness. That is my belief. That is what I have experienced. And because it's once you're able to free yourself from that, that's when you're able to free. That's when forgiveness truly sets you free. So it's just completely fascinating to me. If any of this resonates with you, especially, if you have gut issues, it's your endoderm. If you have big nervous system issues, that's your ectoderm. If you're having heart area issues, that's your mesoderm. Those are deep, deep layers within our body, and it's just completely fascinating. So if you have more questions, shoot me a DM, visit my website, johnerg.com. It's also in my bio. Shoot me an email. I'd be happy to talk about this more with you. And if you want to experience an energy healing session on these areas and find and track those emotions, those stuffed emotions that live within your body, please reach out. It's just really completely fascinating, and I want to share this with you. I want to help you heal, because that's what I've done. I've been able to heal myself with this. Okay? So I hope you have a fantastic day, and thanks for listening. Bye.